Umapodi Joseph, and we have Tshifhiwa Matodzi, who are also members of the shareholders forum. And we have our guest, Malefane Mavitsela, who is our guest. He represents a certain forum, and you'll hear his story hereafter. He's been interacting with the National Parliament and the legislature on charting the way forward. So he will talk to you later after this. But there's a message that the forum wants to present to the entire population of South Africa, in particular the people of Limpopo. This forum represents those many men and women you have seen queuing to VBS every day when it was said it has collapsed. And the forum has a way forward, and what we will do, a statement will be read, and the statement will be given to you after it has been read, and then we'll have a session of questions. Those ones, the one-on-one, the chairperson and the secretary are here. They will talk to you on other issues of clarity, but we want you to participate in asking questions of clarity and and other things. But let's focus our questions to the issues of VBS and nothing else. I guess we're here. Chairperson and the forum. The media here is composed of SABC, Newsroom Africa, Roundup, Daily Maverick, Choice FM, Energy FM, and which other media?
King Broadcast.
Oh, yes. King G and Mala FM. These are my friends. Yeah, I'm good. Must be one. Hey. So they're here, all of them, to listen to the story. And I think the entire South Africa is watching and they want to hear your story. Let me give this opportunity to the secretary of the forum so that he can read the statement, and thereafter we take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Mr. Matiba. Also thanks the media at large, and also our guest, Mr. Malefane. You're welcome. And all the listeners who are listening to this statement of VBS Shareholders Forum. To all media house and all listeners, VBS have been in news again over the past weeks or so, and was even mentioned in the 7th Parliament. This was good for the VBS depositors, as well as the shareholders who unfortunately lost money together with their bank that commenced in the year 1982 as Vendor Building Society. Indeed, our hope have been revived in a way in that the 7th Parliament and the administration will find a resolution to their plight, bearing in mind that VBS was placed in curatorship and later in liquidation during the 5th administration and parliament. During the same period, African Bank, facing a similar situation to that of VBS, was rescued by the South African Reserve Bank, which still owns around 50% of the bank. As the VBS Shareholders Forum, representing both minority shareholders and depositors, we appreciate the various consultative meetings and guidance that we have, and with the regulator, the South African Reserve Bank, on the way forward, including reviving the bank. We wish to thank the governor and his team for their professional approach. We also wish to thank National Treasury for availing 300 million through the South African Reserve Bank, availed to individual depositors, with each allowed to withdraw up to 100,000. It should be noted that Stokvels, funeral schemes, churches, companies, businesses, etc., were excluded in this 300 million. Above from National Treasury and have so far lost all their deposit. In addition, there are individuals who had deposited, for example, 600,000, meaning that they only received 100,000 and lost the balance of 500,000. We would also like to appeal to the liquidator of VBS and the VERE for providing updates whenever to do so. We would also like to appreciate law enforcement for holding to account all those who committed crime in VBS, and welcome the recent 15 years jailed term for Mr. Tshifhiwa Matodzi, a former VBS chairperson. We also appreciate the fact that he, Mr. Matodzi, pleaded guilty and revealed the truth. We therefore make call to all people who are implicated in one way or the other to come out and testify truly. We felt that as shareholders forum, we should also explain below our understanding of why VBS failed. VBS was placed in curatorship during March 2018, which only liquidity as the reason stated by the South African Reserve Bank. All banks in South Africa invest 90% of their deposit in various assets like loans, business, shares, properties, forex, and many more. In other words, to generate income that then funds operations, pay dividends and taxes, and other things that needed to be paid. The 10% is kept in liquid asset to cater for customer cash withdrawal, EFT payment, and payment of creditors, etc. With total deposit of around 2 billion, of which 1.5 billion was from the municipalities, VBS would only have kept around 200 million in liquid assets. During August 2017, National Treasury issued communication to municipality that keeping deposit in a mutual bank contravened municipality legislation. This resulted in municipalities approaches VBS to withdraw around 1.5 million. Around 1.5 billion at one time, while the bank only had around 200 million available cash as like any other bank. They only keep 10% in liquid asset, with the 90% in investment loans. This resulted in a liquidity crisis that led in VBS being placed in curatorship during March 2018. It should be noted that National Treasury has a very good reputation, and we can only assume that the issuing of August 2017 communication was possibly an error of judgment, and or possibly from frustration which VBS management did by low-ranking officials who possibly did not understand how bank operates, as this function is handled by South African Reserve Bank. In other words, in our view, VBS failed due to pressure extended on the municipalities to withdraw deposit from the bank through the August 2017 communication by the National Treasury to municipalities, covering possible implications to municipalities of officials in terms municipal legislations for banking or keeping deposit with mutual bank. We are also of the view that the VBS should be restored as a going concern to the position before the August 2017 National Treasury Circular. We humbly request that, number one, perpetrators to be brought to book to follow Mr. Phillip Truter and Tshifhiwa Matodzi. Number two, all those who wrongly received money from VBS to pay it back. Number three, liquidators to continue collecting money from those who borrowed it and selling of the asset to be applied to recover the money. The money received be used to pay creditors, and what is left will be for the shareholders. Number five, the remaining amount will be for bank resuscitation. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leboy. The statement has been read and it will be shared with you. The copies of the statement that you can have a look at. Okay. There are only a few copies. I wonder how we will share these copies. It's fine. You will take a picture of it. Okay. Can you share? Take pictures of it and then go through. There are 5. Let me just go. There are 5 points at the end of the statement. Perpetrators to be brought to book to follow. Can we listen here? Perpetrators to be brought to book to follow Mr. Phillip Truter and Mr. Tshifhiwa Matodzi. 2, all those who wrongly received money from VBS to pay it back. 3, liquidators to continue collecting money from those who borrowed it and selling of the assets to be applied to recover the money. 4, the money received to be used to pay creditors, and what is left would belong to the shareholders. 5, the remaining amount will be for bank resuscitation. Now, this is how we do it. We take, let's take 2 questions each and let them respond. You introduce yourself and the media house you come from, and then we take it from there. Questions? Imani. I see Imani. I see Ntokozo from Newsroom. I see Mala FM. There's Capricorn FM. Oh, okay. Let's start with the SABC, Imani.
Thank you so much, Matiba. My name is Iman Baloi from SABC News. My question, in the statement, Chairperson, it sounds like you are alluding that there was a premature move by the Reserve Bank or by government, the fifth administration, the government administration, to move towards curatorship and liquidation. You were stating that the bank had liquid assets that did not amount to the amount that the municipalities wanted to withdraw. Are you saying government did not fight to rescue this bank? You also gave the example of African Bank. Is there a worry from you as the forum that there was no effort to rescue the bank?
Okay, no effort from government to rescue the bank. Let's take from Ntokozo Newsroom. Second question.
From which it links to my colleague's question, but then perhaps taking it forward, saying that the bank must be, brought back to life. What would that look like? And are we talking to those stakeholders, including Treasury, the Reserve Bank, and so on, about the shareholders' intention to actually revive the bank? And what does the bank need to look like once it's revived to avoid the same issue happening again in future, if that does happen?
Let's ask the chairperson to respond to those 2 questions, and then we'll take 2 questions. The first one, whether there was an intention from government to liquidate the bank. Second question, what do you want the bank to look like in the resuscitation, intentions to resuscitate? Mr. Madambi Mugawa.
Thanks, Program Director. All media represented here. With reference to the question as whether Treasury and Reserve Bank did any efforts to try and save the bank, the question is, we feel they didn't do any efforts. Instead, they promoted that the bank be put under liquidation, and they didn't do enough. That's what we feel. Because if they've done enough, they could have done as they've done in other banks, like as the statement is quoted here. So they just looked at the liquidity. And at that point, the bank was solvent. According to the financials, it wasn't insolvent. The bank was still solvent. It was a question of liquidity, which was caused by the whole when the municipality were instructed to withdraw the money. And that money had been invested in different areas. So that created the liquidity. That's why it was liquid, because the money was represented by the assets that has been bought or the debtors that they have received the money to do certain things. Thank you. That's the first question. The first question. The second question.
Resuscitation of the bank.
It says
Resuscitation of the bank. How is it going to look like?
The question is, if we revive this bank, what do we like to see? How do we like to see it? So the thing is, we have learned that we should not be comfortable with people that we have trusted to run the bank, we should do in a regular basis. Though, in this case, it wasn't that, the people who had to have oversee to the bank didn't do their job. They did their job, and those is the board, is the South African Reserve Bank. Those were the people interested in overseeing that the bank is running smoothly. But what happened is there was collusion within the auditors, because the board and the Reserve Bank relied on the statements issued by the auditors. And the auditors were giving statement that shows that the bank was progressing. So there was nothing that could make the board or the Reserve Bank to doubt. So that's where we were caught unaware, and it only came out when the municipality withdrew the money. It was when we saw that something wrong has happened in the bank. There was there was theft which have taken the bank as a result of the report that we got from Mutau and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murawa. Can we take two other questions? I think it was... yes.
I just wanted to find out from the regards to the additional treasury, do you have any communication with them to ask them how far are they with their investigations, or when are we going to repay the money? Because what we understand is that they've collected some money, they have money in their pockets. So why don't they use the money that they have to, in the meantime, distribute it so they have their own answers?
Can you repeat?
Get clear the question. Is it... The question is, do they have communication with National Treasury?
When does the forum hear from the National Treasury with regards to the concerns that they have? Did they get any response from? Because when I look at the questions that we've listed here at the end of the press release, these are the questions that we asked the National Treasury as well, and we got a different response as well. So they said they're not going to communicate with the matter regarding VBS and the shareholders still being used. So hence I'm asking, did you personally go speak to the National Treasury and ask them these questions? Because one, they told us that the investigation is continuous now. So point number one, when we say the infiltration to be possible, the response that we said when we asked them, that's what we are currently doing right now. We are making sure that everyone who's owing money from the PPS is dealt with.
Okay, if I understand the question, I think the question is not clear. The question is, when did you communicate these 5 things? Yeah,
when you go to money, that's a forum. So money, national treasury. So babuthisa ngakubheka ukuthi nebabanazo kanti izindlu babanazo ngokubaluleka from the forum from an educator or whatever responsible person then chamba nabo sobramakhulu bazozenza abangase ambe mafungo VBS na shareholders forum through the media. So urumela
Secretary will respond to that.
Secretary will respond to that.
Let me respond to the question. We made a lot of attempt to meet with all the stakeholders from above, from on top, from the top, coming to the bottom. For example, we met with the Reserve Bank. We even had a time where we met with the top 6 of ANC. But up to now, that's why you hear in our statement we are requesting that whenever we need information, let them respond to us. Because initially it was difficult for us to get the response, more especially from the liquidator. So, but we are communicating with them, and they are promising that they will communicate with us. During this week, I did get the name of the person that we must communicate with, of which I've got the number now. From now, we are going to communicate with them, because that was the only portion which was difficult to break down.
In addition to that, the last that we had a meeting with the governor of the Reserve Bank, when we requested that we want them to continue with our bank, then his answer was that no, we cannot revive that license. Instead, they can issue us with a new license. He even gave us the different licenses that the Reserve Bank issue and the fees payable for that. But now we are stuck because we don't have the money. The money is locked in VBS. That's why we felt that if that money is paid and there's money left, enough money left, then we can be able now to continue our arrangement with the Reserve Bank to revitalize the bank again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, any other? Okay, Mala. Let's start with Mala. I think the raise your hand, and then you follow suit.
Okay, thank
Let's make sure the movement of chairs is silent, please.
Thank you very much. My question to the board is that what guarantee do you offer the aggrieved that this matter will be resolved? Because it has been years and it has affected a lot of people financially and has affected their families. So what measurements are put in place to guarantee that the people whose money was misappropriated will be paid back?
Okay, what guarantee to the board?
It's just circling back a little bit to the revival of the bank with the monies paid. It's obviously going to still go to creditors. I don't know if we have an idea from the money collected so far, how much of that has started being paid to creditors. Because I suppose the concern is, will there anything be left for the affected depositors? And then second part of the question, a lot of the initial depositors are no longer with us. When we do get to, the payments of those monies to their families, and have we thought about how do we ensure that it is the rightful beneficiaries that do get those funds if a lot of the depositors are no longer alive?
Okay, there we are two questions.
The first question is that we cannot guarantee to anybody that he will get his money. It's a struggle that we are carrying on towards doing that, towards that they should get their money. But we cannot guarantee. That is the question. As to the people that have saved money, and some of them are no more, there is a record. There is a record of people who invested with the bank, and then when time comes, there is money due to be paid. It will be paid to their estate. That's the answer to it. Thank you.
Can I add something on the guarantee issue? Maybe I should make it very much loud to you as a media that this fight, we are fighting for people who are much, much vulnerable. So it needs all of us to support each other. For your information, we do have Mr. Malifane. Malifane has joined us. He's one of the people that want to help us. So we are not closing the doors for all the people that want to help us. Let them come And that's why we are knocking the doors day and night from the Reserve Bank and from the liquidator to come with the solution. So we need a solution. And this is not one man's fight. It is a national fight. Thank you.
Newsroom question?
I do. So we did have a former CEO in court yesterday. So I suppose wheels of justice slowly turning with that case. They've been postponed to the 14th of August. But we are hearing, some parties that were, part of this case still calling for, banks such as VBS to be nationalized. Is that something that the forum would consider when it comes to the revival of VBS, for it to be a state-owned bank, or would it rather be a bank that, goes back to its roots of being a cooperative and owned by the people? What options would then the forum be considering around just, the state of the bank, whether it's a state-owned bank or a people-owned bank?
The structure of the bank.
VBS is already People's Bank. And though, geographically it was very limited, though it has been spreading its foot up to KwaZulu-Natal. So this is People's Bank. And our wish is that at the end of the day, if the bank wants a state bank, this is the bank that they can build on, which is already in existence, than to start something that you can say is state bank, whereas, we have got another bank which they can convert into state bank. That's our wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Capricorn FM? Yes. And one more question from Mala FM. Any other question? Oh, which was our Tomeka Lanka Capricorn.
Good morning. I am Tshifhiwa Matodzi from Capricorn FM. I just want that they are wanting a temporary stay of prosecution and wanting to stage a separate trial in this matter. Do you have any comments with regards to that application?
Okay, let's take a second. Yes.
This will be more of a comment. Thank you very much. This is Kim Mutide from Kim TV at Mala FM. I would like to comment because this is a bank that was started in 1982. We were very young, or some of us were not born. I think that I support the notion of saying that we must work together to have solutions. This is 2024 now. We've got youth. Majority of us who are here want to even get involved in solving the bank. I think I that I stand with the idea set. We want to support you.
Okay, that was a comment. Let's take which verse, and then you respond to of them.
Okay.
You respond to questions. Which verse?
Freelance journalist. The 154 million that we read yesterday that was saved. Your take on that? I remember last time when we talked, you said because in 2018 people were only allowed to withdraw 100,000 rand, and now there's 154 million rand. Surely we might be having something to say about that. We want it to be shared among the depositors, or what is your take on that?
You're talking the 154 million that has been recouped?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, two questions.
Okay, thank you. Let me answer the first one. The first one, it's in connection with Denim Caesar and Kabelo.
Yeah.
We are not in that area of judiciary, of police and investigators. We are not there. So that's why our plea was that we want all the people who participated or who are implicated to be brought to book and also to come clear like it happened with Mr. Matodzi. That's all what we can say. And then coming to the 154, which the public the curator is collecting, they have a formula which they used last time, where, if not mistaken, they were multiplying what each individual have by 7, I think it's 7 cents or 7%. So that's why you hear our statement is talking differently, to say if we change the formula that they are using, we focus also in resuscitating the bank. If the bank is resuscitated, it means that all the people who are still being owed money will have the credit in the bank. So that's why we request that let it be brought to the assets that are going to rebuild the bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we take 2 last questions, and then we can have one-on-one interviews if you wish. Any 2 last questions if they're still there? Going once. Oh, Hilda.
My question is, there are families that are saying shares the former state president, Phillip, and the Lavelle family. Are they represented here, or are you still in touch with those who need to be channeled to also benefit if there is reinvestment for the former statements, if they have invested? The families are saying they have invested. So I'm checking if there is a representation here of those shares for those families, if it's true. What I've read,
here we've got 2 group of shareholdings. We have a group which had majority shares, and that was the PIC, the Public Investment Corporation, and then Diambeu. Then later on came in Vere. So, and then we have got the small shareholders. That's the ordinary people that we are representing, the Stockfell people and all. We are not representing those big guys, because those can absorb those losses. So, to answer that is that no, we are not representing them. Somebody touched a question of Zuma. Zuma is not a shareholder. No, he's a creditor. That's why you will not see him appearing in court for the case of VBS, because his loan followed the normal procedure of issuing a loan with securities, of which if he doesn't honor that agreement, then the property would be sold by the liquidator. So it's another thing, that one. So in as far as major shareholders, that's what I'm telling you. There are those 3 that we are not representing them. Thank you.
Just to add on, there was a question here that says, are we communicating with the curator and the government? The curator is not communicating with us. We make a lot of efforts to want them to know how is he collecting the fund, the money. He doesn't even want to talk to us. We don't know why. We make a lot of effort to contact him. He doesn't want to speak to us. So you said about 150 million, I don't know. So that we had it in the news or in the ESA, but this committee had never had a meeting with the curator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think those are the last questions. We can have one-on-one after here. Thank you very much for coming, and unless there's a last comment from the grouping, Mr. Malefane, who is our guest, want to say something quickly.
This is M.K. Malefane. I'm an international lobbyist, investment and development consultant. I'm also the chairman of the Wakanda Smart Cities Development Consortium. We are responsible for multi-billion-dollar investment in the building of new smart cities and economic development. We are coming here to Benga for the same. But on the question of VBS, I have been, I guess you could say, key in that body events, in that on behalf of the shareholders and the community at large, I initiated engagement with Parliament, and the Portfolio Committee on Finance actually officially agreed, and you can even see the documentation, to have a special hearing on VBS, not in Cape Town, which would disadvantage travel and hotel costs to the ordinary people, and they were ready to bring Parliament here to Toronto. The protocol was that the Limpopo government legislature had to facilitate that. That was sabotaged, and it never happened. So Parliament has always remained ready to come to Toronto for a special hearing and public engagement. Secondly, we initiated also an outside engagement with the South African Reserve Bank, and were given commitment by the South African Reserve Bank to issue a new license, banking license for VBS, whether same name VBS or another one. But the advice from the Reserve Bank was to do things differently this time. This should be a full-fledged commercial license like Standard Bank, FNB, Nedbank. They were committed to deliver that undertaking in consultation with Parliament. We have come back recently to re-communicate and engage with Parliament and with the Reserve Bank as well. So we'd like to say here that yes, there has been commitment by government and Parliament only to a sabotaged provision, but we are going to be pushing that as soon as possible a special parliamentary portfolio in finance hearing take place here, and as well to make sure that the Reserve Bank issues a new fully fledged commercial license. And we have a number of investment pipelines internationally to invest in the new bank and the economic development agenda of this vision in particular. I just wanted to make those two comments.
Thank you very much. We can engage on that separately when we're done with it, because it's a new issue which the committee is still engaging on. So on clarity on those things is here to clarify to all of you in the media about what's actually happening. And we wish to thank you for coming. Let's engage one-on-one on certain issues that we want clarity on. Mr. Madam is here, the secretary is here, the treasurer is here, and any other person. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate your presence, and we'll continue to appreciate your presence to assist the shareholders continuously. Thank you.
Went well.
Oh, thank you.
Went well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, went well. That's good.
Thanks.
Madam Brown.